All right, so let's see what we got. True Owl 97. All right, cool. Let's see, it says you're over on Twitch, so I'm gonna jump over there and see if I can. Yeah, follow you back over there. Why not? Oh, there's no music going. Oh yeah, you know what? I left that up from last time. So let me go ahead and boop, get rid of that. All right, cool. Let's find the music then. What am I working on? It's a desktop application to kind of help me code faster and keep things organized. See, bit of a pain in my ass, but that is what it is. Let me grab my music here real quick and get that going in the background. Um, yeah, surprising how much louder YouTube is versus everything else. So, all right, cool. There we go. Let me see if I can crank that up a little bit in the background. Oh, wait. It's helpful when I have it unmuted. Okay. Ah, let's see. All right, so what am I working on? Well, so essentially it's a little project to kind of help myself, um, do things a little faster. All the steps I normally have to go through to make an interface to control data for a table. This was originally intended as a checklist of like, hey, go through these steps. And then I kind of figured out, hey, I could make the computer go through these steps, um, and just kind of go from there. So, um, you kind of start with like, hey, you already have your table design and you want to make some data for it. So if I took my local server, which is just a test server on my local computer, right? So in theory, you would pre-tell it a server that you were connected to or whatever, and then have this tool for it. So let me see. Hopefully you're still there. But all right. So essentially, if I have this server and I grab a table, right? We'll update that later. All right. So this is like a template table of sorts, right? So we're gonna make a new table. Let's say I'm tracking something new, like I don't know, employees. Okay. So we might say I have an employee ID, and that's gonna be my primary key. That's gonna be, what the primary thing is that they use to keep an eye on it. Okay. And we'll make this table called employee. Okay. Makes sense. And then this might be first name. And then we might make another field in here and call it last name. Okay. Okay. And first name and last name are both required. Okay. Yep, those are required. And then maybe we have like a start date. So start employment date. Okay. And we're going to leave that blank because in case we have employees that we don't have a date on, or um, maybe have somebody onboarding or unsure, we'll leave that blank. And then maybe we say end employment date. Okay, again, that can be acceptable as that. So now we have a new table. All right, so ideally, you would know what you're designing against. And what this will do, this is the program that I'm working on. You basically can say, hey, on this server, whatever database you're working on, right? And I have two databases in here. And so in this one, this is one that I had selected, and then the schema, and there's only one schema in the database, so it automatically selected that one. And then you can pick on your table, and you'll notice that the table that I just created is already here because it actually connected to the database when I selected it and obtained the list of tables. So then I could pick on that table, and then maybe I need a view. And the view can do things like connect that employee to other data or whatever have you. So one of the things I have to do is I have to add a new button to create a new view from here over there. But anyway, so when I'm making my WPF app, I would have to make a few things. And that would include like I need a model in C Sharp, a file in C Sharp that outlines all the details of the model itself, which is typically based off of the SQL view. And then I have something called a simple model. So if I'm just a drop-down list of these items, it's basically going to be the ID number in the background and whatever it's displaying. That's going to be a simple model, and I don't need to download everything about it. I just need those, basically the two fields, and then views, like, am I having detail pages about this item? Does the user get a page to enter new items of this? Is there a list that they see them all? Is there a data table where they can see them all in like an organized fashion? And then typically view models are always created directly behind views, but maybe that's already built already, so maybe we don't want to design those things. So ideally you would go down this list and just say what you want to pick and what you don't want to make. And then as you selected different things, you'll notice that these are turning on and off on the left side. So then you'd kind of go in here and say, okay, well, my information on my table is whatever this is. All right, and then what are my important fields on this? So we'll download those fields, and now you'll notice all of the fields from that table are here, and they're all spelled correctly. So I don't need to worry about accidentally typing something wrong or whatever, because it's done that communication for me. So, oh, that's my primary key. Excellent. Record added is the timestamp. Record added by user. That's that one. So the whole point is this is supposed to make it easier for me to do this. And then is there soft delete? And we're going to say yes. And then we'll pick on a few of these things. So record deleted. Yep. And then record deleted by username. So I filled out all the information about the table, and then you'll see there's more information about the fields themselves. So even though these are field names on the server, um, how are they shown on the actual page, right? So first name might be just the word first, or it might be first name. Either way, but you can see I have a binding issue here because as I filled in this field, that field was filling in with it. Well, default value, there's not really a default value, but these are just tied together wrong. So I'm going to fill this one in for the moment, and we'll go with that. And then last name, it's going to have the same problem, right? But some of these others, you don't really display on the new page. Like employee ID isn't the user, they don't get to enter it. It's just going to be automatically driven by the system. So then, there's some other steps in here that I got to go through. So like on a new record page, if we're going to make one of those, which we already decided we were up here, we said we're going to make a new record page, then what are we showing? So we have some fields, and we're going to say, yeah, we want to show this on the new record page, and we want to show this on the new record page. That's probably about it. This should really be defaulted to maybe no for some of these other options, especially since I said these are important fields in this other section. So by default, they should be set to no. And then this one is says creation step type for detail page. So I got some labels to work on here. And then destination folder, like where is this going to go and stuff like that. And then if I have a list, what am I showing on the list? So I probably want to show the employee ID on the list. But you'll notice that in this page, it's still asking for, is it on the new record page? And that's not exactly it. So I have to put in some control types. I have to put in some improved drop downs and stuff like that. And then of course, if I'm just looking at the detail of the record, like what am I going to show? What's going to be editable? Stuff like that. But so this page isn't done yet. And then stored procedures. What procedures am I going to make on the server side of things in order to handle those things? If help tips are going to be created for the user, what help tips? Where do they get stored? What, stuff like that. And it sounds goofy, but you start to get into these nitty gritties, and it start to get super tedious to do all this by hand and to do it consistently. And then permissions, and then I just have a button here that says make magic happen. Now this particular interface doesn't work right yet, but I did a code writing sample, and to give you kind of perspective of what's going on. If I was to say I wanted to duplicate this template, okay, And ideally, creation step type file. Yeah. Well, I mean, something's still wrong with what's going on here. So, um, but maybe it's like that file is what I'm typing in, and then that's the destination where it's going to go. And so this is going to be the file name that is going to output, and we basically set create. Um, so this looks goofy, right? But if we grab this location now, let's, I got a few things to fix, but okay, so my test from today, the one I just ran, it just put this file together here in, 9/1000ths of a second. And there's a section in here that says field controls. And essentially what it's going to do is it's supposed to fill this section in with information about what I selected to go on here, because this is going to be the detail view, essentially. So it's supposed to like switch out all of this data and match it up to the view model and do a bunch of crazy stuff. And it did it did some of this during testing, and I have to do a lot more of it to really make it work. But I want it to be able to study like how long does it take to do certain things or whatever it needs to do, because I need some sort of a method of understanding like how long did it actually take to do that. Um, Hell of a project. Yeah, I mean I don't know. I think my demo is kind of sucky at this point, but part of it's just learning how to do all of it in a certain structure and then duplicating it. So I set up some templates in here. Sorry, some templates in here. Um, to kind of replicate how I wanted to lay things out. And so my idea was that basically we have some data, and you have a list of those records. It might be a list of employees, it might be a list of orders, it could be a list of defects, it could be a list of products, whatever your list is of, right? That each page will be different, but this is your list of products. And then what happens is you might have some quick predefined filters that are set up. So if you think about like your Outlook, your inbox, your predefined filters might be like, show me unread messages, right? So if you're thinking employees, you might say, show new employees in the last 30 days, right? And that'll be like defined in this dropdown. But essentially you could like show advanced filtering, and then you have all of the filters available, all of the fields to just mess with stuff. So you could say, hey, I have a certain type of filter here where it's trying to look for a certain value or a certain subset or something going on. And then maybe you have some text and you want to find something that equals certain text or doesn't equal certain text or starts with text or ends with text, right? So you wouldn't have to type any crazy stuff. Yeah, getting data faster, absolutely. So like a great example here is like, hey, I want a text filter. I want to look for the letter T. Okay, well now it contains all the stuff that contains T, but this dropdown is eventually going to show the different filter options. So stuff that contains certain letters or doesn't contain certain letters, this will be the user configurable one. And then like, does it start with certain letters or end with certain letters? So now I could say like QR, and I could hit apply, and I get everything that contains QR, or everything that contains Q, or everything that contains R. Um, and then maybe if I did like GR, I could see that, okay, these contain GR at this point, and it gives me a quick way of searching it. And then I have some date filters over here. So if I had a date field in here, like this is the record added date field, maybe I want information about that. But to edit it, if I double click on it, then I go into another form, and then I can choose, oh yeah, I want to edit this page now, and then I can make my edits, save my changes, confirm I want to save it, and go back if I want to, and you'll notice now that that is automatically changed. Um, so a couple of things that have been a little uh, slow is understanding the difference between SQLite and SQL Server. And because this is built in an MVVM structure, um, it's a little difficult when you're inexperienced in it to try and get it to work quite the way you want it. But it's a process of kind of getting to know it. So if I were to look at like one of the problems that I was just encountering while showing it to you, right, like building a SQL view. Um, I don't have a SQL view on the server that I want for that table, and maybe I want one. I want a new one, and I want it called V employee, right? But maybe I want it with certain fields, or something like that, and I don't have a view selected right now. So I probably need some sort of a form to where I could say which view I want, and then have it kind of identify those. But if I have table information here, the whole trial and error. Yes, yeah, it's all trial and error. Um, One of the neat things is like you can see here, if some of the fields I filled in, like the primary key field, it's still there because I pre-selected that table. Um, so the database is starting to remember the selections and things of that nature. Sometimes it's a matter of just understanding like how do you get it to save those things, or when do you get it to save those things? Is it saving automatically? Is it saving when I press a button? Stuff like that. And while I am helping you building this to help me, I want to make it clear enough to help someone else, whether they're on my team or eventually maybe I get to the point of selling this or providing it as a tool to other people. Um, it can help that way. Where did my music go? Weird. Okay, I think it just kind of like hit the end of the thing. Let me see if I can find. All right, there we go. See if I can turn music up. Yeah, and I'll turn my head music down. Okay, so where was I? Yeah. Yeah, all right, so now my keyboard's saying it's low on power, so let me plug that back in. There we go. Okay, so I'm sure I've scared you away, and this is insanely boring for most people, but thanks for the explanation. Well, people ask, I try and answer, as boring as it might be for most, but just thinking about that demo, right, where it was all of that code, scare you away? Apparently not. But here, let me find my SQLite Studio, right? So part of the thing is too, like I mentioned, the difference between SQLite and SQL Server. It's not because I program one or the other, because they both have their purposes. Like SQLite is a local database; it's on the client's PC, and SQL Server, obviously on a network somewhere. But I wanted to get to a point where I understood how to connect stuff to a local SQLite database and then reduce connections over the network. So I just wanted to figure out how to handle that. If I look at the code writing log, which ideally would be this, but it doesn't have any information in it right now. So while interface creation does, and it's logging stuff as I'm trying to test it, and it's trying to like keep track of things, the code writing information, it should be like tracking how long it's taking and then how many letters it writes and stuff like that. Yeah, that's part of the challenge, right? I encountered a project at work recently, and it was so frustrating because the scope keeps changing. As anybody in IT or programming knows, the scope will change pretty consistently. But take like the simplest table, and I think the table probably only had like 7 fields. So it wasn't a lot of information, but the flexibility needed, the features that were needed, to me were super basic, but it was just so frustrating to get it set up and getting the coding right. And sometimes there was a typo or a misspelling or just something patternistic that just blew things away. And a guy I was working with spent about 4 days. So we had a Monday stand up. We said, hey, here's a feature. This is yours. You work on it. And then, it comes to Thursday and we have a stand up before our Friday stand up, right? So him and I were going over it. And I'm like, all right, so what progress have you made? He's like, I don't understand what's wrong. I can't get to work. No joke, he had a typo in his code, and an L and an I were next to each other, and he couldn't tell the difference because of the font that was being used. And it was such a pain. And even, unfortunately, even as good as the IDE was, it was telling him that there was typo there, but he couldn't see it. The font didn't help his case, and it kept telling him this is misspelled. And he's like, what's misspelled about it? I don't understand. Well, it was an I or an L, and you couldn't tell which, and he wasn't using copy paste to just fill it back in. So he was just like getting frustrated. So it was super annoying that it kind of backed up the project by days because of something simple like that. And then you get other people on the team who are very unfamiliar with like how to set stuff up. So you can kind of see on the right here, I've been working my way through this template of like, okay, I have a new page to add records. All right, it's simply got text, and it's got a date, it's got an integer, it's got a decimal, and it might have some other fields, right? And then I can put some other fields in here. And then if the user hits the continue button, what is that supposed to do? Well, it's supposed to save a new record to the system. Okay, what does that mean? Well, that means it tries to add the record to the server, and then it adds it to the local database. And if it adds it to the local database correctly, it closes the window. Pretty simple. But it doesn't depend on the connection to the server. It just depends on, did it save it correctly locally? And both of these are different actions with different code, because they rely on different things. So it can get a little frustrating. But and of course this is laid out in like MVVM structure, so it's a little different for some people who are used to just like code behind or stuff like that. But yeah, I wanted to just make this work better, I guess. But let's see if I can get one of those things fixed here real quick, because I didn't like those couple of screens that weren't working real well for me. Let's just run a quick test on that. So I had the server, and I had the table, right? And I had some steps to complete. And actually, I would like a button up here that just says all steps, and it just to fill them all in as yes. Like I think that would make not only the process of testing this faster, but the fluid. Otherwise, I'm like click and click and click and click, and I'm like, what is that? 10 clicks already. Full stack, yes, pretty much. So from a data side, SQLite, SQL Server, I actually started about 10 years ago dealing with Access databases, and then I wrote this interface, even though I don't hold myself up as much of a UI designer. I don't think I'm very graphically designer intensive type stuff, but I just try and keep it clean, and some people seem to like it. I don't know. And then all of the actions and processes in between. Yeah, I haven't quite gotten into animations yet, but it's something I want to get into. So, but one of the things I do want to make sure of is that as I'm going through this, so like steps to complete, having a button up here next to models is great. Maybe I just want to do all of the stuff and have them all set to yes. So I think what I'll do to make that happen, let's grab my interface creation, my model here. Yep. And while this isn't in the table per se, and I have the regions for help tips, and I have some fields, right? And then I have some stored procedures. Okay. So I'm going to create kind of a Boolean type of deal back here. And I know this looks front end, forced into being full stack, really lost in the back end. Yeah, yeah, no, it's a bit different. If you're getting forced into back end, I mean, it kind of depends on which back end you're dealing with, but a lot of things are some form of SQL. So if you can understand the syntax, it's super helpful. I found, even though I have like 15 years experience on SQL-based systems, every now and then I still will take a course on Udemy, kind of listen to what's going on, and every now and then I'll get a nugget of something new, or maybe just something I didn't know. And it might not be new per se. It could just be something I wasn't aware of. So, kind of deal. But let's see. If I took, I don't think I need the text, but we'll grab the text just in case here. And I'm gonna go up here. And so we're gonna put this together. And we're just gonna chain this out. First off, we're gonna stop the troubleshooting. And then we're gonna do is, sorry, caps lock goes on, is detail page. I will say is all steps. So is detail page to be created. And since the first letter is capital, because it's camel case, we got that. And then we'll just do all steps to be performed. Is essentially what I'm going to replace within that selection, and then we'll do that. Boom. There we go. All right, so now we have a Boolean for all steps. And so that's in the model. And then we'll switch over here to the new page where the user actually gets to mess with that. And so we have our text block, but currently we have a set to a column span of 3. And that's fine because this kind of makes sense with the models. Maybe we insert a row above that. And so we have the grid, we have steps complete, and then we have a separator. We have a grid, separator, okay. And so that's this header up here. But I think what I can do is I can essentially take another separator, like this. All right, so we have that separator there, and that we're gonna put below something else. And I think I'm going to kind of copy the structure of this grid here. I'll just end up losing its name. So we'll grab models, label, toggle, toggle. Yep, just like that. Perfect. And we'll put that here. And I'll come back and I'll change these things. But we have toggle, toggle, label, text, grid, row definitions. Essentially, we only need one row for now. But we have column definitions. And if you can't tell, I'm a bit OCD, so I've got to keep that stuff under control. Okay, and then, all right, so we have our grid, and I think that's the issue, is when we copied and pasted, I didn't have a closing grid tag, so we will put a closing grid tag in here. Yep. Okay, so we have that one. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Yeah, I find it's two types of people super OCD or people who really don't care. And it bugs me a lot when they really don't care. So we're going to get rid of this name here. So this is, this grid says models to create, but we're going to say all steps to perform. Okay. Plugins to help with the OCD. Yep, that's true. I haven't gotten into many of the plugins because I found some of them have a tendency of like overwriting all of my OCD and then like making it worse. But I'm sure there's some stuff out there that can definitely help. Let's see. So we got this one says models to create again, even though it's not. So we're going to call it text create perform all steps. Perform all steps. Okay. Perform all steps. Okay, so we have that. But because the naming problems, like this one says label is model to be created, which I think is a little weird. I think I accidentally pulled a text block I don't need. So we're gonna comment that out, or get rid of that for now. All right, and then we'll get rid of this name. Okay, so we have a model grid now, perfect. Okay, and we have a toggle button without a name. All steps to be performed, yes, all right. So that's the is all steps to be performed. Now this one says it's formatted in the style of toggle yes no option, yes. And I'm gonna switch that a little bit. I have a new toggle called all, and that kind of dictates what's in it and everything else. So we have that option. And now I can name it after this. I don't know that I need to name it, but I've always found it helpful to name it. Okay, and then this one will say is all steps to be performed? No, that's what it's bound to. Okay, and this one, instead of being no, it's actually going to be toggle custom. So either I select the all button where all steps are going to be performed, or I select custom and then I can customize what steps are going to be performed. So this one is going to be is checked. I mean, we have it set to no, which doesn't really help us, right? That doesn't line up with what we're doing. So we're going to switch this to custom, and this should make more sense. And then all. So all still is yes, right? Because the question is all steps to be performed? Okay, that's yes. And then custom is basically like saying no, it's not going to be all of them. It's a custom setup at that point. And then so the text value here, we're going to say custom and all. And I know it sounds like it's like redundant at this point, but we have that. So over here, instead of binding it to that, we're going to say is all steps to be performed. See, now it matches. And this one is the custom option. Okay, so we're going to name that. Oops. It's helpful when I don't mistype on my keyboard. There we go. Toggle is all steps to be performed. Custom. Yep, there we go. And is all steps to be performed, not custom. This one's all. Okay. I have nothing depending on the name right now, so, but we'll switch it. And in this case, it's saying that checking it runs this is model to be created yes function, which we don't really need. So we'll take that out and we'll make a new function back here. And that function is going to help change them all over. So we're going to go back to the definition, and this is the code behind step to where we can actually access the view model and run with it. So we'll go to the view model here, and I think what we're going to do is make a method, and that way we can just mark them done. So we have a bunch of other ones like add and save and whatever, but we can do public void mark all steps to be performed. Okay, like that. And then we could basically say, you know, new record, which is the record I'm working on. So essentially, we're going to run this, but we want to verify that the data behind it makes sense. So we're going to say, hey, is all steps to be performed? Does it equal yes? So we'll say if it does, then so now we can say is the data table page to be created? We're going to set that to 1, and then is the say new record page to be created? That's a 1, and then okay, so new record is not new record, but what's the next one after that? Is select record, that's stored procedure. So we would then say like list page to be created. Okay, so those are all ones, which is fine. So each one of these are running, and then that should change over what happens, but we have to be able to call this. So the code behind, which is here, can call that method to mark all steps to be performed. Okay, and that this should also mark that it's been checked and it's all steps to be performed all, and it should change over. So we're gonna find out if it does that. Yep. So we go here, we select our item, our table, steps to be completed. We say all, it got to here, right? So I don't want to sit here going, oh, did this work? All right, does it equal 1? Yeah, it says it equals 1. So it's going to make its way through. Continue. Great. And look at that. It checked the 3 boxes below it pretty quickly. So then it just needs to do the other ones. So like, is the model to be created and is the simple model to be created? Okay. So we'll say new record dot is model to be created is 1. Okay. New record dot is simple model to be created is 1. Okay, so that's model, and then this is pages. Which one am I missing? Detail record page. Okay, so new record page dot is detail page to be created is 1. Okay, save that, go back here. Let's try that again. All right, hit the brake, continue. All right, and then it did fill those in. So now we just need the view models. Okay, so go to definition. Okay, and we would say new record dot is new record view model to be created. Yep, new record is detail detail view model to be created. Yep, new record dot is list view model to be created is 1. Yep, and then new record is, what's the last one? So we have new record detail data table is data table view model to be created is 1. Okay, save that. Go back, and if we, so these aren't working anymore. So we'll relaunch that. Creator, selection, we pick this one, we pick our table, steps to complete, we hit all. All right, so they've all been selected, but guess what? We can still turn them off. And this isn't working because I can turn them both on at once. So that doesn't help. Okay, so toggle down here for custom is checked, is all steps to be performed custom, and this one is all steps to be performed all. All right, well, let's go to the definition of that. And most likely what happened is that I don't have the call out. Ah, nice to have you back. All right, so there we go. So this one is the default, and then we could say custom. So now this will update those appropriately. And of course, we can also make it even more critical to where if the user does select all, we force them into all, not just fill it in for them. So we might say there's my table, steps to complete, I now have all, and they've all been selected, but what prevents me from deselecting some of these options, right? All right, so if I pick all, it initially does it. But how do I find motivation? Sometimes it's actually watching Twitch. I see other people struggling with some of the same problems. Sometimes it's knowing that my paycheck resides on it or relies on it. Sometimes, it's watching YouTube or I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say there's a catch-all for that question. Like, how do I find the motivation? Because some days it's just tough to say, oh yeah, this is gonna motivate me. Sometimes you just need to take a break away from it and do something else, um, and then come back to it. But when you start looking at your personal whys as to what drives you, then you start to realize, hey, I have to get money for this or for that, or I have to, um, do this next thing at work or this next project at work, and if you don't have that full-time career yet and you're still trying to motivate yourself into that, um, it gets a little tough because you're like, all right, so the entire field of jobs is they're all stating these high requirements, and you're at the super low end of that. I don't know where you are in your coding journey, but yeah, the watching Twitch, yeah, no, it's funny, but it, you know what, when you find a ton of people hitting their heads against the same problem, you quickly realize, okay, a typo is not just me. I can watch these Twitch streamers that have in their bio, oh, they worked for Facebook or for Microsoft or for Twitter or for, whoever. And maybe they stopped working there because they weren't any good, or maybe they didn't like the corporate grind, or maybe who knows what reason they have for not leaving there or for leaving there. But I've watched a number of streams where it's just the same problem essentially. Like people are like, how do I solve this? And then you very quickly see them go to Stack Overflow, or go to Google, or use ChatGPT to help them get the coding answer, right? So, and it's kind of funny because what was it, like 7 years ago? You're 3 years into dev and your job feels like you're losing motivation, trying to get back, just feeling off. Yeah, it's tough, unfortunately. I've been in my new job for about 3 years now. Um, I was in a previous company for about 9 years doing dev, and there are moments where you're just like, it's just the same thing. It's just another context with the same project all over again. Um, and sometimes you got to do side projects. Sometimes you got to find a hobby for a little bit to take your mind away from it. Um, it's the one of the first signs of burnout, honestly. If you're like, I just don't like doing this anymore. Um, Take an inventory of your hours, right? Of are you doing 70, 80 hours a week on it? Because if you are, that might be why you're losing the motivation to do it. It's not it can definitely suck in your time, but you got to find your patterns. What works for you and what gets you in the headspace to work on it. Um, and if you really like doing it, I look at the other jobs in the company that I work for. And I work for a very large manufacturer, and I look at the job as like the guy is assembling the things we make. And I go, okay, he just did that job 15 times. He did the exact same steps 15 times. And at the end of the day, um, he's only going to have done that step, 50 or something times, or those sets of steps 50-ish times. But what's he got to show for it? A list of 50 products that he worked on, but he didn't improve the product. He didn't improve the process. He just followed the steps. And when I look at the coding side of things, just like inputting that button, right, that prevented me from having to click 10 different buttons, I can click a one. That changed the process. It might just be for me, but it changed the process. But if you can get your head around finding process improvements, sometimes it's just easy stuff. And sometimes it's just, side projects or little things. I'll share a tangent and then I'll try and go back into it here. But recently I happened across, let me kill my music a little bit here. Oh, wrong dial here. All right. So great example was a person I was working with. They're literally a couple desks away, and I overhear them talking about how long it's going to take them to send out all the emails to all of our vendors, all of our suppliers, all of our everything, and how long that's going to take. And I hear them very frustrated. They're talking to somebody on their phone. I think it was their boss. They're like, no, you don't understand how long it's going to take me. It's going to take me weeks to send out all these emails. I have to copy and paste and make the email and write the name and do this and do that. And they're like, most of the time they don't even respond. So what's the point? And and they wanted to go out and like pay for like SurveyMonkey or Chipmail or one of those automated services online, but they were really kind of being, hardballed on this where you would have to send out contact names and contact lists and some internal information that really shouldn't be shared. And they weren't sure that it was going to be held proprietary if they did that. And so I kind of overheard this, and I'm like, if it's just sending emails, I know how to automate that. So it's it's not hard to tell the software to send an email to the address, especially when you have the content and the attachment. Like that's not hard. And I'm like, hey, and I told them, I'm like, I have software that I've written that's done that. I thousands of messages, like it's not hard at all. I'm like, just like, what are you trying to send? I'm like, it doesn't even matter what you're trying to send. I'll just make you a form. And they were all concerned about being too much work and blah blah blah. Point is, about 4 hours later, I repurposed a form that I had made up for a different project, and I kind of threw it together rough form. And I said, here we go. You can fill in this field with what you want in the body. You can attach a document here. You can paste in a list of email addresses from Excel. You can go for it. Hit the button. And they were excited. They went and tested it. We found a few bugs. All in all, maybe it was a couple days work between troubleshooting and everything else. But here's where it got stupid. It is not a feature I'm excited about. It is not a feature that I'm going and telling everybody about. It was just something goofy that was helping them send out spam amounts of email. And when I say spam amounts of email, I mean like 17,000 emails per campaign is what they were trying to send out because we have a lot of contacts that we deal with and they're trying to send announcements to and whatever. So, like I said, not excited about this feature, but it's something that I thought I could just make their day with. And they are so excited about this stupid feature that they are calling together a workshop for me to demonstrate this feature to other people, other departments, other teams. And I'm sitting here going, I don't understand how this is so unknown how to do because I wrote it up in a couple of hours. And their workshop just keeps growing at this point. And to me it's the goofiest thing, but they have recently sent me a list of employees within the company, and I think it's a couple dozen long now, but it's like dozen different departments. And they're like, all of these people would seriously benefit from this feature. And so I have to put on a seminar on how to use this mass email feature that I built and walk them through what the restrictions are, how it doesn't, doesn't run into Outlook anti-spam policies and how it prevents your account from getting locked down and stuff like that and whatever. And like I said, I'm not super excited about it because some of the red tape that I had to go around instead of just getting through um, didn't make it into the best feature I felt that it could be. But they're super excited just because it saved them so much frustration. They're now like my biggest fan at work for something stupid. And I share that story partially because you asked, like, the motivation to learning and improving. And they're so excited about this goofy project that I just on a whim overheard and said, yeah, I can help you with. Um, their excitement actually helps serve as motivation for me because their excitement, they didn't even ask for the project. It wasn't one more thing, piled on top. It was just me trying to make someone's day. And I'm like, hey, yeah, I can do that. That's pretty easy. Um, and they're just running with it now. And it's the craziest, stupidest feature in my mind. Um, but it works. It works for them. Um, so I don't know. I'm not excited about having to go and do a seminar for a couple dozen people on how to spam email other people. Um, but you know what? I demonstrated a couple other people, a couple other teams, and all of them got very excited. They're like, "Oh, this can make it so much easier." And a couple of minor tweaks, some feedback here and there. It's like, all right, yeah, how can we improve it? How can we send all the emails to the same domain at the same time so that everybody in that same company, that destination, are all on the two line at the same time? Yeah, okay, well, let's just tweak the data and make that work. But instead of them having to do it manually, how can we do it systematically? So it sounds goofy, but I, I don't know. It I remember years ago, I wrote a Outlook validation checker, and it's goofy because recently it became a feature in Outlook, not by me. I don't have authorship to it, but it was something I used to write in Visual Basic for applications in VBA. And if you wrote the words attached or see attached or attached in any sort of context, if you use the word attachment or attached in the body of the email, um, and you didn't have an attachment, a pop-up would appear saying, hey, you referenced an attachment, but there's nothing attached. Are you sure you want to send this? And if you said no, it wouldn't send. That was it. That was as simple as it was. And nowadays, you can't send an Outlook email without saying those, if you say those words and you don't have an attachment, Outlook reminds you, right? And it's a built-in feature now. I don't have authorship to that. I don't have credit to that. I don't have any rights to that, right? But it was kind of funny that that was a feature that I helped, that I would implement for people that I worked with before it was a feature. And it was something that it was a script. It was this little VB editor file that I would just install, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, here you go, and then it would work. And we had another one where it was like if certain people were emailing certain recipients, they would get blocked, right? And it's a goofy thing, but I was working with a union at the time. I was on the management side, and I was working with the union labor relations department, and they didn't want certain people in that office to email anybody with the union representation team because they found these people were a bit crass in their response, a bit abrupt. So they always wanted the labor manager to do the contact. So because we couldn't block the email address in the system, essentially we installed a script that if they tried to email this person, it would give them a pop-up and says, "Hey, your boss says you really shouldn't email this person. Are you sure you still want to email them?" And it didn't matter if they hit yes or no, because if they hit no, the email didn't send, nothing happened. And if they hit yes, it actually changed the to line of their email and sent it to their boss instead. And it sounds a bit cruel. It sounds like, oh, I'm redirecting their mail. No, their boss was very specific. Don't let this person email the union, because they would get in trouble, right? And they would just cause drama. So we would have it automatic, switch it, and it would send to their boss. And next time they check their outbox, it was sent to their boss instead. So there was no way around it for them. And that was thoroughly entertaining because they were told it was clear. It's like, you know, and they basically thought Outlook was just trying to help them out, and in turn it was just Outlook turning them in. Um, but you did have a hackathon. Didn't start due to budget constraints. Might not be a return on investment. Yeah, that's a bit tricky. Um, the return on the investment's a tricky part, right? Especially when companies don't want to move on something until they've proven ROI, and proving ROI is a problem when you can't do a little investment. You know, um, I started my current gig about 3 years ago, but 5 years ago, my current boss called me and he's like, "Hey, I got a contract position for you. I want you to come on for 6 months, and you can prove a proof of concept out, and then get hired into a permanent position." And I told him, like, I have a permanent position. I'm not going to leave a permanent position for a contract position just to prove myself again. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to do it. And so I didn't hear much from him for like a year. And then he called me back and he's like, okay, I convinced him to make it a permanent position. Blah, blah, blah. Give me this big spiel at him, and then he told me the rate. I'm like, you're really gonna have to do better than that. He's like, because I make more than that at my current job. Now it went about a year later, and he called me back with another offer that base salary wasn't more than I was currently making, but conditions had changed where I was working. And I kind of saw some writing on the walls. I had access to some data that gave me some indicators that I really needed to get out of there. Um, and so it really didn't matter at that point what his new offer was going to be because I played the game. I'm like, oh, can you do a little better? Blah, blah, blah. I gave him a little bit of pushback, not seem like I was jumping all over it. But in reality, it was like I was sending out applications at that point to other people. Um, so my point was like he had a tough time selling the ROI in the first place. Now, when I started, he had to kind of like put me into a different position to basically prove that I was needed doing this job, which is the development side of things. Um, so it's harder, but now I have a contractor working for me, and we're trying to prove that we want to add four more heads. And four more heads for developers, that's like $500,000 a year. When you're talking six figures ahead, at least it's going to be $500,000 annual. And that's what we're trying to do is increase it by that. But we have to be able to say, hey, does our project save or have the potential of saving $500,000 a year? And so that button thing that you just saw me do, where I made one button turn on 10 buttons, okay? It sounds so stupid, but little things like that, I would track improvements for. And I'd say, hey, this one little feature, it has a 1 to 10 savings. I click one button, it clicks 10. It reduces 90% of the job, essentially. But how many times does that happen? Stuff like that. So at my old job, I got really good at kind of doing these educated guesstimates, these calculated estimates, if you will, because I didn't have a year's worth of data to show what it said, but I could speculate. I could say, hey, in a week or in a day, it did this. And if I see that pattern with a plus or minus 30% utilization, um, what does it show, right? So just in this case, let's say it was one click instead of 10 clicks. Now, one click doesn't take a second, but let's say for easy math, and I always like easy math because when you're dealing with managers, it's like you better be able to draw it in crayon. Yeah, 1 to 10 game-changing feature. Like, pfft, yeah, it's not that game-changing, but it's a 1 to 10, right? So what's fun though is when you deal with executives and C-level people, if you can't explain it in crayon, uh, good luck, right? So what I always do is I always keep things in nice, even round numbers. And so I might say, hey, I had this old process it would take 10 seconds to do. Okay, why did it take 10 seconds to do? Well, only because my new process takes 1 second to do. Okay, and I don't want to go into partial seconds because again, you can't explain partial seconds in crayon. So my difference right away, if I said my new process, like let's do this old process. Okay, 10 seconds, new process, 1 second. Okay, 1 second, fine. Difference. Okay, stupidly enough, I know this is like, yeah, I'm explaining math, right? All right, 9 seconds, fine. But here's where it gets into like C-level stupidity. Um, because the higher you go, the simpler it better be. All right, so we're going to say we have 9 seconds. Well, that means this number over that number is, as you can expect, 90%. That really isn't hard. But, okay, outline it, mark it. Time saving, 90% time savings. All right, fine. Now, that's great on a percentage, but they always want to see numbers. Well, how many times a day do you think this is going to happen? Well, I don't have much data for that, right? But let's do an estimate. Okay, so let's say times per day. Now, do I think I'm going to do this 10 times per day? No, but again, round numbers. Times per day. Okay, so 10 times per day, 9 seconds. Not much time, right? Seconds per day. Okay, Here's where it gets fun. And this sounds like stupid basic stuff, but here's where money comes in. And C-levels always like money. All right, they always like money. So then you say days per week. Okay, I'm not hiding any numbers. I'm not doing any math that you can't see. But we're going to say days per week, seconds per week. Okay, pretty simple. Let's say working weeks per year. Okay, weeks per year. This one times. Okay, so here's the stupid part. Um, if these numbers are at all accurate, my additional button that I just added is going to save somehow $625 a year. Do I think it's going to save? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, this is just based on, did I have to do this process 10 times in a day? Now, I could assume that some days early on in the process, I might have to click this button a lot more than 10 times in a day because I'm setting up the system. Later on, I might not see it at all, right? But even if they said, oh, I don't see that being fine, 5, all right, because this is all linked math, right? That makes it really easy. 5 times per day. Okay, now it's $313 per year. Okay, and we can take both these and put them into currency and spell them out real nice. All right. Well, that's great on time savings, right? But what did it cost to get there? Cost to get there? Well, I mean, what did it take me to write that? 5 minutes? Okay, 5 minutes. Maybe it was 10 minutes. Maybe it was 10 minutes. I'll say 10 minutes because I was talking. Whatever. Yeah, time, absolutely. Time is money. Yeah. So 300 and some odd dollars a year. Okay. But we had to invest in that time. So we said 10 minutes. But here's where it gets fun is you say, hey, we have $100 an hour um, per hour. Actually, sorry, too easy. This one equals over 60. All right, that's not dollars. We'll say, normal, 0.17 hours. Okay, and then we can say cost per hour. Okay, cost per hour, fine. This times that. Okay, cost for a feature. Okay, cost for feature. So let's put that in dollars and let's just forward this down here. Okay. Then remember I said, C-level execs life things spelled out in crayon. Okay. Like effing crayon. So we're going to say this field equals this field. And then this is going to be the benefit. Benefit, if I could spell benefit. Yeah, that's helpful. Okay. This one is going to equal this one, and this one is cost. All right. This one, sorry, we're going to go down here, equals this over this, and that is our BC ratio. Okay. So this feature has an 18.75 to 1 benefit cost ratio. All right, with these numbers. But let's say we did it 10 times a day. Oh, look at that. My BC ratio just went up to 37.5. Okay. Now, there's not a lot of savings in this. $600? Okay, doesn't really sound like a lot to me. Um, to me, that's not a lot of savings. Um, when we're dealing with trying to prove $100,000 cases, whatever. putting the math together basically took more time. Okay. But if you have a template like this one, where you say, hey, I just saved a certain amount of time, seconds, minutes, hours, whatever, and it took me a certain amount of time, and it did that, and you just kind of like line it up, and you say, hey, I did this little feature change today, or whatever, and you start adding those pieces up, and start saving yourself time. Eh, saving yourself time, saving your teammates time, saving whoever time. This button thing, just for my testing, save me that kind of time. Now, when I'm at my job, $600, not a lot of money. I mean, we were talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in you know expenditures last quarter and whatever at work. So $600, like, I'm sorry, somebody farts and that's spent, right? That's just ridiculous. But now, because we're talking, this is my side project. If I'm talking my side project and clicking this button and saving myself $500 per year on clicking that button, then is it worth it instead of me going down the list like this each time? Oh, and I've missed that one, right? And maybe I need a scroll bar here. Maybe I need to set them as enabled. Maybe I need to whatever and just streamline it. Um, it, I don't know. It is what it is. To me, $500 a year, that's a new 3D printer right there. And that's something I like doing on the side is 3D printing. Um, but I don't know, simple stuff. But to this feature though, where I said all, maybe not only do I want all of these on, but I want these buttons disabled. I don't want to be able to accidentally select anything. I can't deselect them. They have to be yes. So I'm going to tweak that just so I can't unselect it, right? Okay, so we have is read only, is enabled. Yep. Okay. So we have an is enabled here, which is using an index to Boolean converter. Yeah, we could probably do something similar to that. So we'll go here to steps to create, and we want this one here. Okay, so is enabled is going to be looking at the element of all, this one here, and that's the element, and it's going to be a selected index. Path, no, is selected. Sorry, no, is checked. Yep. And in reality, it's not going to be an index to Boolean converter. It's probably going to be something else. Actually, I might not even the converter because checked is a Boolean by itself. So we'll just do that. There we go. Deselect is another new addition that saves money, so the client or user makes an error and needs to go back and change it. It will cost time. Yeah. Yep. It definitely will. Um, do a lot of things. So, and sometimes you get stuck in the analysis paralysis of like what's there, what does the user want or whatever. And frankly, in a lot of the stuff that I build, I put a button in the upper corner that I just tell them to give me feedback. Um, and it sounds really goofy, really simple, really stupid, just having a button that says feedback. But it's such a novel idea that guess who effing puts it in all their stuff now? You know, Microsoft puts it on their stuff now, and Google puts it on their stuff, and whatever. In most browsers now, in most things, there's a little button. Hey, look at that right up here. Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the world, they have a send feedback button. Huh? Can't be that novel of an idea if the frickin', monstrous company at Microsoft needs feedback from their users. Report a problem, suggest a feature. Hey, I want to suggest a feature. All right, great. What does it do? Well, it opens me up a browser window to the developer community, and then you can submit your stuff. right? Whatever. But uh, I just do it locally and kind of do it that route. But this is just the development piece. So anyway, we have is checked. We're looking at is all steps to be performed. All we're looking at that toggle button. If that toggle button is checked, this button saying is enabled, right? But actually, we need to reverse that. We need to say is custom. Custom. Um, if that one's selected, then this one's enabled. Because if I collect all, I don't want them to be able to select the button. So we're gonna try that, and we're gonna try this next one too, this other toggle button. Um, so we're gonna tweak a couple of these things. So there we go. We got two buttons. They're already deselected because nothing's selected up here. And we'll go here. We'll go here. All. Notice it doesn't look like it's selected. But if I select custom, it's still selected. Even if I select all, it doesn't look like it's selected. That's a visual appearance problem, right? So I want it to look like this, but not be selectable, not be clickable, right? I don't want it to respond as I mouse over it or do anything when I click it. I just want it to do that when it's locked. I want it to have that dark blue color. Okay, maybe great words, but dark blue color. So let's go find my style. Okay, and here I have tabs, I have colors, system styles, border styles, button styles. Let's try toggle button styles. There we are. Option, yes, no option. Okay. Yes, no option, no. And I think somewhere down here we had triggers. Um, so we can say is checked, is pressed, is enabled, right? But you'll notice here, um, it's saying if it's enabled, false, then the background and the border brush and whatever are immediately setting up to that. But I'm going to change it up a little bit. And we're going to do multi-trigger. Okay. Multi-trigger conditions. And we would then say, I think we had actually a couple of samples somewhere in the current document on how multi-trigger conditions are used. Yeah, like this, actually. So we would need a condition, a property, and a value. So just like that, we'll switch back. Okay. So the property is going to be is checked, right? Is checked, and is enabled is false. So is checked is true, okay, and is enabled is false. So that's our conditions. Now, if we go back to somewhere else that was using it, then we have properties inside of there, outside of the conditions, but inside here. So then for is checked at the moment, we were using background, text element, and border brush. So we want it to look like it's checked. Sorry, is enabled is, reverse that. Oops. All right. So is checked is true, is enabled is false. Okay. And then, so this looks like it's checked, and then background, border brush, background, border brush, and text element foreground. Those are the three that are being set. Here, it's the same thing, but here, when it's false, that's fine, but it's got to be a multi-condition of it's not enabled and it's not checked. That's essentially where I'm at with that one. So we're gonna just reverse this slightly, and we'll do another multi-trigger condition of is checked, false, is enabled, false. Okay. Get rid of that. And then here we'll exit a multi-trigger. There we go. So now all the conditions are still the same for when it is not checked. All right, what does that look like? Well, all right, so we should be able to say yes and have it go blue. All right. Boom, boom, boom. And that's still not there. Okay. Well, that's a problem. So we go to XAML. So let's see. We have is defaulted, is mouse over, is checked, is pressed, and is checked is true, is enabled is false, is checked is false, is enabled is false. Okay. And this is essentially what it's being set up to be. And that's the template, but this is for the yes, no option, no option. Okay. Well, guess what? I need to also set that for the yes, no option, yes option, because that's the one I'm selecting. So we can do all of the multi-trigger stuff for the yes, no option, yes, in here as well. And then that's where we will swap that out, that spot. Okay. Now we bring that back and we'll see that the yes is checked. Nothing happens when I click on this one because it's locked and I can't switch it off. Okay, but if I hit custom, now I can do my customization. If I hit no, I have to switch these enabled. But that's not difficult to do at all. So we can go here, go down to this one, and then this one. We can go up to the one that is enabled and bind that as well. Okay. Of course, my music is so low that you probably can't hear it. I'm here jamming out. Ah, go figure. Okay. There's no sound. Yeah, I know. I rolled it down to talk to you and freaking forgot to, bring it back up. It's one good thing about OBS. So I can definitely turn down the music so people can't hear the music or whatever else is going on. And they can just hear me talk to myself and sing along to something that I couldn't keep up with if I wanted to. Okay. So now we have a bunch of buttons that are going to do exactly what I want them to do. All right. Toggle button. Yep. Toggle button. Yep. I'm sure there's probably a way to integrate it into the style or something, but I think this is the most straightforward at this point. I'm tying it to the. Now we could probably not tie it to the button and actually tie it to the MVVM pattern a little bit better. Because right now I'm tying it to a specific button, but that button is talking to a function, to a property, right? So I probably don't even need to tie it to this because is enabled is set to is custom, right? So we can then say is all, no, sorry, new record dot is all to be performed custom. And, oh, right, there we go. So now that also works. And it's not tied to the toggle. So this is in the third one down, third no from the bottom. Let's see if that works the same way, because I think it would. Okay. And if we had all, yep, third one still disabled the same way. Okay. So functions basically the same way. A little less code to write and more specific, and it's not against the name. Because if I were to rename that control, that wouldn't work anymore. But I don't think I'm going to rename the property. So essentially that means I can take this longer line and replace it with the shorter line of this one, of is enabled, is all steps be performed, custom, right? So we can do that and paste that there. And then we'll go up here, grab that. We'll just grab the, not the element name, not the element name. No, 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 no. This one. Binding is enabled. There we go. Okay. Current document, just like so. 15. All right. So now that they're properly tagged to that enabled property, we can just set a couple more of these. It should be easy enough. There's no sound again because the playlist ended. Go figure. Okay. Let's replay. All of my toggle buttons are tied to these top two toggle buttons. I can hit all of them are turned on. So I go here, steps to create, all. Now, currently there's no scroll bar. I probably should have one, whether it's inside of the tab or inside of the section. I think inside of the section would work pretty well. So let's grab the border here. Steps to complete. This is the first border. This stack panel is the instructions section, which is not what I need a scroll panel for, but maybe we won't want to here. So then we'll take a scroll viewer. Just like that. We have a scroll viewer. Look at that. Now it almost looks professional. So, all right. So now we can scroll. We can much easier identify that there's more going on down there. And if we make this bigger, it goes away. Well, I mean, it's there, but it should go away. So we can say vertical scroll bar visibility, automatic. Yep. Yeah, makes sense to me. Save. Let's refresh that. And we have new steps to create, all. Yeah, so that makes it pretty simple. Now there's a lot of other properties with scroll bars. The fact that it like clicked from top to bottom without a smooth scroll there, kind of annoying for my OCD, honestly. So we're going to find what that is. Steps to create. Yep. Okay. Border. Yep. Scroll viewer. Well, there's a way to do it. I forget what it's called. tempered scrolling enabled, smooth. I think it was like smooth scrolling.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I
Binding
know
groups,
is to love
no.
what I'm doing. Never give up,
Horizontal
never
scroll bar,
slow,
can
till I
content
finally
scroll.
prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act. Head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong. Always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best.
Canning mode.
Die with no regrets. Live with every
Horizontal, vertical first, no. Yeah, that's not there. But if we go to properties, let's stop the code and go into our scroll viewer again. Now go to properties. Scroll viewer, appear, content, enabled, automation, transform, drop, tab stop, text, tooltips, miscellaneous. Content string format, no. Input scope, manipulation, panning mode, style, template, UID, no. Appearance, visibilities, effects, to bound, snap to device, pixels. Oh, I know what that is.
I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path. If you want it bad, I'm gonna show you where it's at. Yeah, how you can get it back.
Mounds, focusable,
I'll be number one.
transforms, layout transforms. I have found it before. I always forget how to find it, and then of course then I rely on Stack Overflow. So we're gonna call it smooth scrolling scroll viewer WPF XAML. Okay.
Grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win, yeah.
Okay, well.
Everybody on the top got the same sound. Everything I'm about to drop, make a name now. Yeah, y'all don't really know,
Need some caffeine.
y'all don't really know, y'all don't
Alright, well,
yeah, I ain't never gonna be the same now. I'ma tear up this whole fucking game now.
there's some pretty complicated answers online on how to do it. I know I've found it before. And animation behaviors, scroll viewer previews, behaviors, mouse wheels, animations.
All these hits and I know that they watching, they keep showing up in my place, always knocking. Knock, knock, bitch, I've been standing right here. Been over 3 years and then you just got here, man. Get me a beer and open up the mirrors. Let me show you now what you've been missing for years. Call it premiere. I can take a boy's name and smear, or take it up a gear and end your career and make you feel fear, or make you disappear. Cause I am right here and not going nowhere. Everybody on the top got the same sound. Everything I'm about to drop, make a name now. Yeah, y'all don't really know.
Well, I'm not seeing an easy answer here, unfortunately. But a couple more resources and I'll deal with it.
Girls back, hit a clap, clap, break it in, smack, shotty like a quick snack, like it when I'm all up in there, I'm finna win it like I win stacks, every single that I'm in, man, it's been fat, these haters all get whacked when I spit max, these haters all get bit in the pit fast, you bound to get cracked, so you better move back, y'all don't wanna play with a pro, not today, I'ma make you wish you were gone, MIA, you gon' be my bitch, be my pawn when I play, you gon' be my bitch, take my palm to the face, you know I'm your biz when I'm on fucking stage, you ain't never gonna get me to be tamed, I go insane, you can't detain this beat, yo, when I came to stay, cause girl I came to play, everybody on the top got the same sound, everything I'm about to drop, make a name.
I'm not worried about it. The smooth scrolling I can always implement later. Deal with that another time. Oh, so when I did the fields in the table, I remember that the primary key saved automatically, but the timestamp didn't. And so if we go to definition, so we can save SQL table changes. We'll go here. This is new record SQL table, no updates. All right, let's go to definitions, update SQL table. Okay, that's the prompt for confirmation. And in here, you were saying primary key. That's right, it's that one. So we're just not filling the other one. Okay. SQL table, which is a model. Yep, has a handful of fields. So is it selectable for interface creation? Does it have a soft delete field present? Okay. And SQL table field. Alright, so these are the other fields. Alright, soft delete table field, record deleted, timestamp field, record deleted, username field. Okay, so I have all those things. So we'll close that. And if we go back to the update, so we just need to bring in that information. So it says basically if the primary key field is not equal null and the primary key field SQL table field is greater than 0, then add that. And then there's nothing else. Okay. But we have to change the update statement up here to include the other table names. So if we go to SQL table here, we have the table names, and in this case we have the primary key SQL table field ID. Okay. And we probably need to just do the other ones. So if we went to the DDO, we can easily copy these, and so like we can grab record added timestamp SQL table field ID, which is a mouthful, but you can deal with it. So we can drop that in. Alright. So now we have record added timestamp SQL table field ID, which then we can take this one. And we could take primary key field. And if we took record added SQL timestamp field ID, primary key. See. SQL record added by username field. Is that the record added timestamp? Is that the one? So it's record added timestamp SQL table field ID. This is record added timestamp field. Yeah. Record added timestamp field SQL table field ID. Yep. Okay. So that's this one, this one. So essentially, if it's not equal null and it equals greater than 0, then add this value, which is like a 0 or whatever field it is, to this. Otherwise, add null to this, which is fine. So that makes sense. And we should be able to grab a split window with this, and then we can put in a new field, record added by user, and added by username field. Yep. Like that. And then This one, that one. Alright, so now we have record added by username. Yep, let's see if that works before we get too far into it.
I really think I understand this world now. Got my head spinning round in a circle. Everybody lacks what they need internal, so they compensate with everything external. Not trying to throw shade, no way. I'm just trying to find the meaning of life. Hey, there's happiness if you try to live the right way. Forget about what others have and live your life. Hey,
I don't even know what that is. What? Okay. Insufficient parameters supplied to the command error source. Go figure. Debug. Step out. Step out. Okay. Sufficient parameters. Well, I gave it 2 more parameters. And I gave it 2 more parameters. I certainly feel like I gave it 2 more parameters. I did not give it 2 more parameters. I gave it 1, apparently. So I did the primary key field, and then I had a record added by user. I must have pasted over timestamp 1. Go figure. Okay. Paste that. Record added. No. Record added by timestamp field. Copy. Yeah, keep that. Keep that. Alright, let's go up with this one. Added timestamp. Yeah. Paste. Paste. Save. Run again. And I could go all night. I'm sick of being nothing. All right, I'm gonna be something. All fight with every breath. Trust me, I'ma be the one at the top. You can't touch me. I need to find somebody like. If those saved, I should be able to go to the SQLite Studio and refresh my data set. Grab T employee. Find me some field IDs, which we have 24 and 27. Which we seem to. Learning a lot with me, in Visual Studio. Well, there's a little bit going on here, so. Alright, so that one worked. Now, here we go. So if we navigate up to the code I wrote, which has the record added and record added timestamp fields, which are these 2 fields here. We navigate this section down to these, and so this is the added and added timestamp fields. Okay, and we go back to SQLite Studio, which is here. Alright, we have a couple other sets of data. So we have modified and deleted, but naming convention, they're almost identical. So we use naming convention to our advantage, and we simply paste, and we say take the word added and make it the word modified. Okay, and then guess what? Paste and take the word added and make it the word deleted. Double check SQLite Studio, make sure I got that right. Yeah, added, modified, deleted. Yes, good. Then we replace selection. So now we have the extra conditions for modified and deleted. And these are the ones we're added. But guess what we get to do? We get to do the same thing, and we get to paste, and we replace added, modified, place, and guess what? Paste and deleted. Replace. Okay, and if we did everything correct as far as naming convention goes, which I hope I did, you try again. Say table and employee, steps to do, table information, we still have the name and the caption, record added, timestamp. You'll notice these did not save before. Okay, either they saved or they're not being loaded, which is a different problem entirely. If I remember looking at the SQLite Studio, looking at the, oops, wrong button, get out of here, close anyway. All right, so SQL table data, let's refresh that. We do have an added by timestamp, SQL table field ID, record added. And we do have a record added by user. So we do have fields there. It just didn't load there. But that's fine. We're going to say added, added by username, modified by username. Is delete field used? Yes. Deleted. Oh, soft delete field, sorry. Is deleted. Record deleted. And then deleted by user. Okay. So if my save routine is running each time I change the field, they would have changed here. But deleted doesn't seem to have done those. And then them not loading is a whole different problem. But, so these didn't fill in, and those didn't save. So let's close that, and we'll minimize this, and let's go figure out why it's not saving for starters. So we go to delete field, okay, and at this one, we have selection changed. All right, we'll give it an event, combo soft delete field selection changed. Go to definition, okay. And now, if you remember right, we had a bunch of combos up here that when we changed them, it was like save table data or something. Come back later. Well, no worries. It's not like gaming where it's more engaging. But do enjoy your night. If I don't see you, I might play some Satisfactory later. Who knows? Thanks for hanging out.
Sometimes I'm feeling high, but sometimes I'm feeling low. I wanna stay inside, I could call my bed my home. I've been trapped inside my mind, that's what keeps me in the zone. I think that I'll be fine, but I do not really know, yeah. It's too late for me, not too late for you. To be great, you see, the pain's worth the truth. I don't wanna be just someone that's new. I speak my mind so free, so you could hear the truth. Yeah, I know that we all have fear.
Right. So that should save those. I guess the question is, why was that one, this one coming back, and the other one's not coming back? So what's different? We have, oh, there it is. I just saw it. So this one says selected value path, SQL table, field ID. I don't think I saw that one over here. Okay, let's see if that's the case. The case. Okay. Okay, so it still didn't fill back in. But the primary key field did fill in. So why would that one? What's different about primary key field versus the other ones? So let's do a split. So we have the primary key field up here that is working. And then we have the added timestamp field down here that's not working. So we have update, table field, table ID, timestamp, selected item. Okay, so I don't see a selected value. Okay. So then we would have this, like so. Okay, So that's selected value, selected item, selection changed, and it is enabled. And so that basically says, do I have a value selected in SQL tables? Right. Okay. Save. Alright. Let's try that again. See what happens. That. Table. Server. Table. Employee. Don't have a view yet. Items. All. Table. We have those. Important field. We still don't have that one. Okay, well, when we're getting information about the table, are we downloading that in the first place? Like, do we know? We're updating it, but are we getting it? I guess is the goofy question now, because we would select the table here. Do we get that data? Okay, table selection, table. Okay, so after we change the selection here, refresh table field list. Okay, go to definition. SQL table fields is the list based on the table. Right, but what if it was not that one? What if it was the schema? So I pick the schema, right, and we download SQL tables from schema. Okay, which is this one, which says, hey, action SQL table, download table from SQL schema. Okay. Are we downloading those fields? So we're downloading the table name. Okay, so we get that. We're only getting the table. Okay. So that must not be it. Because this is going to add them all, right? Download SQL tables from schema, which is here. Then refresh SQL table list, which is this one. List is equal to list from schema, right? Go to definition. So, record added by user SQL table field ID, SQL table field ID, which is there. So, I guess primary key field is this one. Soft delete table field is this one. Record added by user SQL table field is that one. But I'm not seeing the same values. So we have a field ID. Huh. Wait. Field ID. We don't have a field name. We have an ID number. We don't have a name. So these are just IDs. That's why we're getting the primary key field ID and the primary key field name. This is a soft delete field name, and then soft delete field name should be here, record added. Now this is soft delete field ID and soft delete field name, but okay, so we go here. If the soft delete field ID does not equal null, convert soft delete field ID and is greater than 0. Okay, make me a new table field, field ID, field name. Right. Okay. Well, that's fine, but that makes sense as to why that field name is not coming through, because the field name is not part of the query. So the SQL table, which is in SQLite, over here, do we have that view in it? So soft delete primary key field name, soft delete field name, soft delete field. Yep. All right. As, and then we would make this to record added by user.
That's all you got. Could drop dead now with a fucking blood clot, yeah. One shot, give it all you got, and never back down. No, I'm never
Record added by user, SQL table field. Yep, that's SQL table field ID. Good. So that means I should be able to take this one and put SQL table field name record added by user field name. Okay, so if we save that, grab this, let's make sure the data shows record added by username. Yep, it's record added by user field name. That means we would take this one, record added by user field name, and then down here, update. Okay, so if we move that up, back. All right, so that's here. Split it. Move that up a little bit. Down, and then here. Yep. SQL table field name is then record added by user field name, but it's not integer. No, it's RDR dot toString, like so. Okay, save that, build it. Does that work? It says it works. Let's try it again. Okay, so table. Still not there. It's super strange. Okay. So let's put a break here. Record added by user, SQL table field ID is not null, and field ID is greater than 0, right? Which is record added by user, SQL table field ID, and record added by user field name. Record added by user name field, that field name. Okay. Do we even make it to here? Because this is ultimately list SQL table selectable. Okay. This is the refresh SQL table list. Is that the only place that this gets called? Well, it's the only place according to this. So let's see if this comes back around. So we go that one. All right, so we have a list of SQL tables. All right, and this should give us that. All right, so, all right, let us in here, which it did. Continue. So field name is 27. Record added by username. That should be what it is, right? That next one didn't go there. Alright, so one of them has it. That one. Yeah, important fields. But still, record added, timestamp didn't do it, but primary key did. So alright, so I mean the field is there. It's just not selecting the right one. Okay. Primary key field. Combo input control, item source, SQL table field name, SQL table field ID, primary key field, SQL table ID. Record. Modified, record added, timestamp. Okay, so this is primary key, line 1115, which is fine. We know that that one works. We'll leave that one open for now, but minimize this, minimize this, minimize that. Okay, so then we have record added timestamp, which fine. All right, then we have a combo box for record added timestamp field. All right, that one seems to have the timestamp information, but record added by username is the one out the timestamp field. I think that's what we're looking at. Okay. So record added timestamp. Yeah, okay, so I was loading record added by username field, and then selected item. Okay, so we have selected item. We have should have selected value, similar to one on top. Okay, selected value, but it would be added by username field, SQL table field ID. So that's the value path, that's the item path is selected, changed, and then is enabled. Okay, so that would be that part. Now if we go back here, why did that switch? Record added by user, like that. Okay. So go back to our SQLite, our data, refresh our data. Record added by username, 24, which is added by timestamp, SQL field. So we probably have to improve our query some more. Timestamp. And we'll call it record edit timestamp field. That helps if I spell things right. Okay, record edit timestamp field. Record added timestamp field, like so. This is by user. Yep. Okay, record added timestamp field, which is this guy. T-SQL table. No, that's the wrong one. Record added by timestamp field, which is this one. Okay, confirm that. Data, refresh. Nothing. Didn't work. Data. No, there's an error. Well, I must type something in the query now. Record added, timestamp field. Left outer join, SQL table. Record added, timestamp, SQL table field, ID. Yep.
Yeah. I take a cold hard look at the world now. Hold my hand out, got a plan now. I'ma help be the change cause I can now. Here I stand now, take my hand now. No pain, no gain, no shame. Work hard, play hard, okay. I think I get it now, don't wanna let them down. I'ma take the ground and speak my mind out loud. Here I go, proud of my notes. Teach them what I wrote, teach them all the hope. Keep them on the road to the dream. All I need is a team, build your own self-esteem. You can do anything, prove everything. Say what you mean and believe in your dream. Find that thing that you love, that you really wanna be. And don't give up till you've given absolutely everything. Yeah. A chance now to prove that you're something.
Strange.
In your own head, all these thoughts you're confronting. We've all been there when you feel like you're nothing. Shut that shit down, crush those thoughts and just trust me.
Record added timestamp field dot record added timestamp field. Oh, right. Because there.
Round two, what's in your head now? Sometimes
Field
you're better
name
off dead now. Fuck that,
as
yeah, you heard what I said now.
record added timestamp field name. Now commit it.
Can always find someone new has a much better, but can also find someone that has a much worse. Is the cup that full? Do you have that curse? Turn it all around, put your mind in reverse. When everything hurts, go listen to these words. Your life on this earth has so much worth. You just have to find the right state of mind that works. Yeah. Give me a chance now to prove that you're something. In your own head, all these thoughts you're confronting. We've all been there when you feel like you're nothing. Shut that shit down, crush those thoughts and just trust me.
This is primary key. This is soft delete. This is record added by user. How we can do that, but go back here, timestamp field name. Yep, which is that one. Good. And then in that case, timestamp SQL field ID, which is here, does not equal null, and it's greater than 0, means SQL table field, the record added timestamp timestamp SQL field ID. Yep. Okay. This one. That's this one. Add a timestamp field. Yep. Good. Put a break in there. And refresh it. Alright. So now we can pick on the table. Again, we have our list. Very good. We got to there. We got to there. So this is then record added. And this is number 24. Continue. Look at that. So now we have the record added field and the added by field. Both filled in. We would just need the modify timestamp field, the modified by user field, the soft delete fields. Alright. Now we're getting somewhere.
purge the curse. These words immerse my nerves, I slur, reverse, then work, reverse. Now I talk with intent, I talk to defend, I talk to the world, and I meant what I said. I talk and
So we have an issue with field information because we have caption and then we have default value, which aren't the same at all. Not sure what creation step types are supposed to be yet, but that was a step I was working on. Then we'll essentially say like what page are we working on and stuff like that. So if we said new record page, oh, creation step type, right. Yeah, it's like which routine am I running for that? That makes sense. Okay. I will be back.
Growing up, parents got me a guitar. Said you could do anything, kid, you could go far. You could be the president, fireman, race cars. The sky's the limit, kid, so shoot for the stars. So I strummed that guitar every day. Found the passion for music never went away. I joined a couple bands and played a few shows. Tried to impress the girl in the front row. But soon enough, everything starts to change. As you grow up, nobody treats you the same. They try to take your future and make it real safe. You could be a doctor, accountant, or something sane. But yo, whatever happened to the sky was the limit. I fell in love with music, never thought it was a gimmick. I worked so hard on every tune and every single lyric. My whole identity depended on being artistic. Now you wanna strip that away so you feel okay? Cause if I make it to the top, what does that really say? That you shouldn't have given up, that you made the mistake? But if I fail, you feel much better about picking your lane, right? Yeah, things are gonna get better real soon. Yeah, I'ma just do me, you just do you. I swear it's gonna get better real soon. Don't let anyone tell you what you should do. I got a clear view, we're gonna make it soon. Just keep pushing through. Yo, what you got to lose? Yo, what you got to lose? Yo, what you got to lose? Just keep pushing through. Cause what you got to lose? Got to lose, got to lose. 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 Got to lose. I won't give up, I won't back down. Till the line 6 years underneath the deep ground. I won't give up, I won't back down. There's nobody stopping me except for me now. I won't give up, I won't back down. Till the line 6 feet underneath the deep ground. I won't give up, I won't back down. There's nobody stopping me except for me now. And let's be honest, life's a competition. So if I'm going to play, then I'm gonna play to win it. I refuse to sit and rot at a desk all day unless I have a passion I'm working towards, okay? I'd rather be dead on the outside than inside. A bullet to the head than 25 to life in a cubicle alone, just trying to get by, building someone else's dream instead of building mine. If you're hearing me, this is meant to inspire. If you have a dream or if you have desires, a girl in your life that's making you feel that fire, go fight for her, man, go die for her, man. Cause you only have one life, one chance to do it. One chance to prove it to yourself, so don't lose it. You got this, fam, just keep pushing on through it. One day you'll look back so glad you pursued it. Yeah, things are gonna get better real soon. Yeah, I'ma just do me, you just do you. I swear it's gonna get better real soon. Don't let anyone tell you what you should do. I got a clear view, we're gonna make it soon. Just keep pushing through. Yo, what you got to lose? Yo, what you got to lose? Yo, what you got to lose? Just keep pushing through. Cause what you got to lose? Got to lose, got to lose. haters try so hard to talk me down, but they can't stop the sound, already on the ground. Everything is growing faster than I can count. You ain't gon' stop me now, because I got this now. I got the formula and I'm about to drop it loud. So what we talking about? There is no talking now. We take action with passion, we're rocking now. It's tick-tocking now, the clock's talking down. And all I hear is haters try so hard to talk me down, but they can't stop the sound, already on the ground. Everything is growing faster than I can count. Everything is growing faster than I can count. Every day that I wake up in a nightmare. Every day that I wake up, I can never see quite clear. When I look at my surroundings, and everybody still doubts me, I wanna live to hear a crowd sing all my lyrics so loudly. I miss a time when we would all get together. I guess it's fine, but I really wish that we were better. Real talk, sipping drinks without all the pressure. Now everybody needs to think about posting whatever. When people ask how I'm doing, I've never been better. That's really not a conversation I'm willing to enter. How come we all continue forcing out all of this pressure? I'm just sick of these opinions and all of these lectures.
I need my space now so I can feel nothing. I live this nightmare so I can be something. I do what I love and hope you will love me. I face this nightmare, no I am not running.
I'm scared of being rich, but I'm scared of being poor. I'm scared of being lonely, but I'm scared of being bored. Sometimes I get really angry, and I don't know why. Sometimes I really do hate me. Can't even pick my own side, What is even going on? Why the hell do I even write songs? What the hell am I doing here, man? I guess I don't understand a thing, damn. Yeah, but maybe ignorance is bliss. Yo, I'd rather lay in the abyss than be aware of what I missed, especially if I quit. Yeah, they say that hell is your last day, when you see what you could have became. That day would drive me insane, so I intend on staying in my lane. Yeah, I picked a path and I picked the pain. Yeah, I want it bad, that won't ever change. Yeah, sometimes I'm mad, sometimes I'm okay. Yeah, I know I'll have what I want someday.
I need my space now so I can feel nothing. I live this nightmare so I can be something. I do what I love and hope you will love me. I face this nightmare, no I am not running.
It's hard to be okay when everything has changed. Yeah, it's hard to be okay when I can see everything. The best part of everyone's day is on my iPhone on display. No matter what I do, can't get away. This isn't healthy, I don't feel the same. Yo, and destiny is a weird thing. Yeah, cause it's easier to believe. Yeah, that everything is out of your hands. It's part of a plan, so there ain't no need to worry. Don't let your vision be blurry. Yeah, lock into your journey. Yo, and you can start real early. You could be 13 or you could be 30. But it's your life to live, yeah. Yo, so what you got to give, huh? Yo, you better get after it. Don't you dare quit. Don't you dare, kid. You got dreams? Then you're like me, so try like me. So fight like me. Take a hold of your life and thrive like me, so you can put the nightmares to sleep like me. And I just wanna go somewhere where I could just stay inside, where I could just lose my mind, where I could just go unwind. A scotch on the rocks, it slows my thoughts and slows down time. I think I'll be just fine. It's broken by design, yeah. I'm feeling lost, not found. I fell in love with sound, and I don't really think that counts. I'm married to the beat right now. I'm feeling lost, not found. I'm drowning in the bass right now. I listen like a drug I found, addicted to the plug right now. And I hate the time just keeps on moving. I don't get why it feels like it's looping. I wish that I knew what I was doing, and I hope that I keep my mind so loose. And now I lay awake. Sometimes I never feel like I could take a break. I don't know why this world just wants to make me wait. I don't know why this world just wants to make me hate. Yeah, I'm feeling lost, not found. I fell in love with sound, and I don't really think that counts. I'm married to the beat right now. I'm feeling lost, not found. I'm drowning in the bass right now. I listen like a drug I found, addicted to the plug right now. And I can feel your pain now. I never got the chance to explain how nothing ever quite feels the same now. I wish that I could just forget your name now. If I stay, will you stay? If I go, will you go? If I pay, will you play? Do you know what I know? Do you love, do you hate? Do you care what I say? Is it all just the same? Always make these mistakes. Ooh, baby, take me, play me. All I wanna do is please. Wanna spread like a disease. Ooh, crazy, tasty, baby. I just wanna feel you breathe. I just wanna feel your need, yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. Yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. If you wanna stay, baby girl, don't go. Oh, look the other way. Nobody will know. Oh, if it's all the same. Call my place your home. Oh, I don't wanna chase, but don't want you to go. Oh, all I want is you. Ooh, all you need is me. I know what to do. Ooh, only I can see. Yeah, know I love the view. Ooh, climb under the sheets. Do just what you do. Ooh, put me back to sleep. Yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. You take a fucking bad chick, put her on a mattress. Baby, she's a savage, but she lets me have it. Oh, we getting at it, want a couple glasses. You could be my captive, baby, be proactive. She looking so attractive, dressed with the backlist. We can make it happen, you could be the captain. I'll take you to the cabin, penthouse mansion. And she used to acting, but I ain't casting. Yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. She feeling so lonely, everybody owns me. Treated like a trophy, everybody's phony. She stays so low-key, they don't truly know me. She just wanna show me, take it real slowly. She working long hours, taking long showers, chasing down downers over the counter. She cashing in vouchers, screaming out louder. No one around her, surprised I even found her. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different, man, you must be kidding. Think you're
gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro, don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a damn if you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon, and I'll do it cause it's what I wanna fucking do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions, they blocking your vision. But no, you can't listen, that shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're trying to make it. There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Aren't you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Aren't you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Or will you fucking fight back? You ain't gonna make it, you ain't never ever gonna break it. You can never beat them and they're better than you face it. Thinking that they give a damn, you're not thinking straight, kid. No, they don't give a damn, you got what I'm saying? I'm not fucking playing, I'll give it to you straight, man. There's too many others and you're not that great, man. Stop what you're saying, stop what you're making. Everybody here knows that you just faking. Nah, I don't wanna hear it anymore, I don't wanna hear it anymore. All these fucking thoughts, they are not what I need anymore. I'm about to shut the motherfucking door on all you poor ass haters with your heads in the clouds. Talking out loud so proud, you better shut your goddamn mouth before I do more speak out. It's about to hit never gonna make it. There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Aren't you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Aren't you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Or will you fucking fight back? Or will you fucking fight back?
Alright, I'm back now. So I could barely hear my music, so
Yeah. Everybody knows that I'm
there we go. Much better.
Everybody knows I ain't faking now.
Alright, so what are we doing? What do we got? We got field names that are centered for some odd reason, which I'm not a fan of. Captions that are centered. That's weird. The headers should be centered, but the fields should not be centered. So, yeah, close that out. Alright, so the good thing is that stuff is kind of working. Let's go to field information. We got the data grid, we got item source. Yep, data grid, text columns. Very good. More data grid, text columns. Yep. New record page, which is like this one. Data grid, text column, element style, txt centered vertically. Go to definition. Horizontal alignment, centered. Huh. Okay, but why would I do that? Alright, can we do centered vertically and horizontally? Ooh, yeah, I see what I did. Okay, centered vertically. Let's go to definition. Let's do txt centered. This one is centered horizontally and vertically. And text alignment. Okay, so this is centered vertically, which then we then have width 100, 150. Okay, so yeah, now it's left side justified, which is fine. So if we went with min width 150, and then the other one, caption, min width 150. Right, so those are centered vertically, which I think is fine. Then we have this template column, which says display on new record page. And we would say a text alignment center. Okay. Min width 200. Okay, yeah. So that's there, which is fine. Then we have a cell template, and we have 2 columns, which is fine. Data grid template column, cell template. Yep, so this is the header, which is fine, and then this is the cell, the 2 grids, 2 buttons. Okay, one toggle is yes, one toggle is no, is checked as yes, is checked as no. Binding is on new record page, two-way update source record. Yep. Okay, so then after these things are checked, right, we probably need to run some sort of an update. So we would have to do toggle is on new record page, yes, checked, and that would essentially do the same thing of you know, bm.save table changes. Yeah, like that. Save table changes. But I don't know that save table changes. So this updates the table. We want to update the table field. Save SQL table field. No prompt. Yeah, this one. Save table field. Right. So if that fires when the yes is checked, that should have a reference. Okay, here, table selection, we do this. We found that this already worked, so we can take these breaks out. So it gets those, and we can say that's my table. We have steps, we have important fields, so we have those already. Good. Field information. So did the important field piece. Steps to complete, we'll say all. New record page. So that's a little bit better. But display on new record page. If we said yes, and we said no, and we said yes, is this changing the data in SQLite Studio? Which then we can say SQL table field data. (8/26/2021). That's not now. Refresh. No. So nothing's been updated. It doesn't look like. So B SQL table field, which is this one, data. Okay, we have first name and last name, which is here. SQL table field is read-only. Okay. SQL table ID, SQL table name, SQL schema. Is there a field inside of this SQL table field that indicates if it's on it or not? because I'm not sure that there is. So let's stop that. Let's close all. Solution Explorer. Let's check out SQL table fields actions here. Minimize the using statements. And we have method to update the SQL table field. Okay. And we just have if it's nullable, the field name for C# code, and if it's read only. We don't have a field right now to know if it's on those fields. So we go to the structure. Okay, yeah. This is interface control type, but we would have to know if that field is or should be used on certain types of types of pages. Why does it still say I have a person viewing? Interesting. Why does it still say I have a person viewing? Interesting. Okay. Oh, no one's there. That's fine. Alright. Alright, so we have the control type, but we would want a couple of fields to indicate whether it's on the new page, detail page, the data table page, and if it's going to be a filter. Yeah. So that's pretty straightforward. So SQL table field model read only is on new record page, which is exactly what I think we're going to call it. So let's add a field called is on new record page. Make it an integer. Don't give it a default. Is on new record page. Give us another one. Cancel. So give us another field. Is on detail record page. Okay. Then we have another one. Is on data table page. Okay. We have another one. Is filter on list page. Okay, this will become an integer, and then this would also become an integer. Okay, save that. Confirm. Okay, let's copy that. Open data. Refresh. Alright, so all of these are blank, which is fine. So we just need to rewrite a couple of functions inside of SQL table field actions. So when we select the data, we'll need to get those fields. So v SQL table field, v SQL table field, which is this one, we should get a few of the fields that we just added. T is on new is filter is on detail is on detail. There we go. New list data table detail. Okay. So now our view has those records, has those fields. Refresh. Okay, that's these here. So that's is read only, is on new record page, is on filter page. Okay, good. So we have those. So is on
I'm lost deep in my mind that I've created. I have dreams where my life is devastated. Feel so real that I wake up shaking. Need thicker skin cause this life is no haven.
Just like that. Okay. 2, 3, 4. Filter on list page. Data table page. Detail record page. Okay, so that's our 4 new fields. Let's split the window. Okay. So it's read only. Only select it if it has something. So is on new record page. Just like that. So is on new record page. Yeah. Right. Replace on new record page with filter on list page. Filter on list page. Place that. Okay. Paste that again. Alright, replace that with is on data table page. Place section, yeah. Data table page. Okay. On detail record page.
I'm headed to the top, I'ma do it. I'm headed to the top, I'ma prove it. And baby girl, I like what you're doing. Your body's out of sight when you
new record page. And we replace that with detail page.
You know I'll treat you right, let me prove
selection.
it. And I could go all night. I'm sick of being nothing. All right, I'm gonna be something. All fight with every breath. Trust me, I'ma be the
So is on new record page, is filter on list page, is on data table page, and is on detail record page. That's essentially those 4 new fields. So we'll save those properties there. And then we have is on new record page. On new record page with on detail record page. Okay. Alright. And then we swap this on new record page for filter on list page. Okay, just like that. And then on data table page. Data table page, refresh. Is on detail record page. So we have new record, filter table, data table, detail record. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 fields. All will convert to integer 32. Okay, so this is the select data set. Then we would need to update the data set. In that case, we would need those 4 fields all over again. 1, 2, 3, 4. we can replace the words is read-only with is on detail record page right here. Okay. No. Selection. Refresh. Okay. Data table page. Just read only. No. Let's do that again. Okay. Place is read only. Not in the current document. Stop that. It's data table record page. Like so. Okay. Now we can switch that to selection. Replace that. So we have new filter data table detail. So we have those in the update statement. And then one, two, three, four. Okay. Is read only. Is on new record page, which is this one. Got that one. Is filter, selection, replace. Okay. Is read only, selection, data table, selection, is read only. No. What did you just do? Selection is read only. Switch it with is on detail. Page, replace. Thank you. Okay. Yep. Save. Okay. Alright, so we have that function now. And we should be able to save those changes. Let's try. Table selection, table. Alright. Steps, all table information, important fields. We should get those to fill in. And we have these. And then we can go to new record type, is on new record page. We would say yes, yes, and yes. Okay, did those save? Go to data, refresh, which is on new record page, which is here. I don't think it executed. Last name would be the field, and that there. Go here. Alright, so it got to this point. I don't wanna think about the pain no more. Everybody's not the same. We all open SQLite database connection string. Yeah. If record is dirty. Oh, so it's not dirty, and it just immediately goes to no changes detected. Gotcha. I see what I didn't do. So SQL table field model. I don't think mark dirty if loaded. Okay. Yeah, so when we got the fields for the list, I don't think we marked them as loaded. So we say select select table fields from list page fields. Select one field, get a field, update, go to list SQL fields from a table. Okay, that's this one. SQL table field, which if we're using the select method, we would need the same query here as when we wanted to list them. Okay. And that's then these.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go. Yeah, when you're feeling down and you're out, like you got nothing but doubt, you're alone in the crowd, just trying to figure it out. All that is bad.
Those in. And that should get us that information for this. Save, continue. Alright. So now we got this. We pick on our table. We say we're going to do all the steps. We have our table information, our important fields, our field information. We could say first name. Yeah. Okay, does it get past there this time? No, it doesn't. Why not? Because I don't think it's marked dirty. Okay, so update SQL table fields. Dirty is marked false. So is on new record page. So if we went to is on new record page here, we have marked dirty if loaded, which is that one. Okay, but if it's not loaded, then it doesn't matter. And it never would see them as loaded. That means when we obtain the records, so this is select, it's from page fields, which won't matter, but if we were to try and get them from somewhere, like here, list SQL table field SQL table is this one, and it's going to have to say is loaded as true. Right. So, but if it never got to here, continue. Right, so this is still false, so it's not going to get to doing any updates. So when I do table selection like this, loaded is true. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we have field information. We could say yes.
Sometimes all we really need is hope.
Is dirty is false, is loaded is true. Okay, so it got to it this time. That one's false. That didn't. That doesn't make any sense. How are these? Huh. But where am I getting this list from that's not that? Okay, so these are the field names on the new record page.
shot, that's all you got. Take it right now before you get lost, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Write your own story, you control the plot, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Could drop dead now of a fucking blood clot, yeah. One shot, give it all you got and never back down. No, I'm never gonna stop, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Take it right now before you get lost, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Write your own story, you control the plot, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Could drop dead now of a fucking blood clot, yeah. One shot, give it all you got and never back down. No, I'm never gonna stop, yeah. I know that I'm a little OCD. The people close to me already know that's me. That's how it's supposed to be, cause nobody's perfect. Need something to work towards, that's worth it. You need something that's worth more, you deserve it. Find a thing that you love, then preserve it. If you're heading down the wrong path, then reverse it. Put your head down and damn it, start working. Cause we all need a little bit of hope to help us cope as we go down this road on our own, never knowing where it goes. Always wonder if we're close, always wonder if we chose the right fork in the road. Who knows? You don't, I don't. Is everybody stoned? I've grown, cause I'm sick of mediocrity. Where's the quality? Everything's about quantity. Ironically, we feed our minds constantly, but don't think logically. One shot, that's all you got. Take it right now before you get lost, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Write your own story, you control the plot, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Could drop dead now of a fucking blood clot, yeah. One shot, give it all you got and never back down. No, I'm never gonna stop, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Take it right now before you get lost, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Write your own story, you control the plot, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Could drop dead now of a fucking blood clot, yeah. One shot, give it all you got and never back down. No, I'm never gonna stop, yeah. I wanna feel alive, feel the blood inside my veins. I wanna slow the time, will you slow it down with me? I think I need to find what it means to be okay. It's broken by design, can't live life without some pain, yeah. And I know I'll keep running, no, I'll be something you won't see me coming. I grow, I keep punching, I grow, I keep hunting. No, I need nothing, supposed to be something so close to me. Jumping out in the worst kind of way. You took all of my time and didn't give it back to me. Wasn't enough, and I don't know what to say. You wanna fall in love, but don't wanna feel the pain. And I'm so low, cause I don't know if I'm alone, if I'm unknown. But I won't go, no I won't go. You ain't never gonna slow me down, cause I feel alive now. I'm gonna go insane. Always on the grind, but still everything's the same. I'm sick of wasting time, wish I didn't feel this way. But with this kind of mind, I will figure out my lane, yeah. It's the highs and the lows, the change and the woes. All the fame on the coast and the pain no one knows. I want the time just to slow, my mind's feeling low. Say I'm fine, but I know that I might be alone. You fucking out in the worst kind of way. You took all of my time and didn't give it back to me. Wasn't enough, and I don't know what to say. You wanna fall in love, but don't wanna feel the pain. And I'm so low, cause I don't know keep on working, got purpose and worth. Music's my cure and this world is my purse. Get rid of this curse with every verse. Of course I've been hurt, but some have been much worse. Leave me alone, get out of my head. Block out the opinions until I am dead. They all go to sleep, but you listen instead. Listen some more and you'll cease to regret. I keep on working, I got it on track. You gonna see my name up on a flag. I sail the ship and I'll never come back. I keep this bitch on the line to attack. Never look back, I make a record like Crash. Top of my bracket I smash, I'm like a pack. I'm about to stack it like cash. It's gonna happen so fast.
Never changed myself, I've always stayed the same, no doubt. I've always played the game all out, and I am here to stay right now. So don't call it a comeback.
I ain't running here to stay, steady gunning, do my thing. I don't look the other way, I stare that motherfucker straight. Don't care what they say, nah, everyone's the same. Don't get caught up in their games, just pick a lane and do your thing. I don't just wanna be great, I'll be the best. Make everybody forget all the rest. Man, I feel blessed, bulletproof vest. Over my chest for that haters request. I'll be okay, I pick my lane. I'ma stick to it like horse of the fame. This is the game that we all play, and I'm gonna win, get the fuck out my way.
Never changed myself, I've always stayed the same, no doubt. I've always played the game all out, and I am here to stay right now. So don't call it a comeback.
Yeah, it's our time to shine. Yo, that's the kind of state of mind you gotta combine with hard work and time. You gotta climb to the top. Don't let yourself drop till your heart stops. Let this beat rock. Got a new clock and a new stock for this new rock. Just let your mind loose from the new stock. Drunk off the goose, thinking that I'm too pop. Getting caught with a few thoughts cause I'm too lost. Off the speakers can't even handle me. Even what I got, nobody's gonna drain my energy. And I will never stop. I'm motivated by energy.
And we're back on. So, we just have to figure out why are these records not being found dirty. Oh, this is the SQL table field detail view model, and this is the interface creation new view model. Yeah. Selected SQL table field. So I guess the silly part is, how does it know which one is selected? And if it's not selected, or if it is selected, is it being marked dirty correctly? So in this case, it's not. Okay, so it has no values for these, which is fine. And it's just going to return the list. So we're going to get that. Okay, which is fine. So we have the fields. And I've selected, well, no. So if I go to new record page, which we need to say that we're going to make a new record page, and then we hit yes. So is on new record page. Okay. So when we look at record tracking, are we marked loaded? Loaded is true. Dirty is false. Continue. Okay. So now my selected record, I should have a record tracking. Record tracking. Yeah. So is dirty is true. Is loaded is true. Okay. So now we can continue in here, and we should be able to get each of those. So now we can get down here, and we're basically saying it's true, and we're saying if it's false, then do that. So we don't have a prompt. We get into this. It is on a new record page is a 1, followed by these other ones, which are nulls. So that should get us to here. Continue, which it did. So now it'll mark record tracking to false. Okay, so that should have updated SQLite. If we refresh the screen, we now have a 1 where it says on new record page. So the is first name field was updated. So we can then say last name. Okay, and we can then check SQL Studio again. The last name didn't change. Why not? Mark dirty if loaded. Dirty is false. Well, that's strange. So this is first name. So the record that it tossed me was first name. But I'm on last name. At least I thought I was. Why is this and this? I am on last name. So did my selected record not get updated? Or did it only take the first value I chose? Get that out of the way. Let's bring this back up. Okay, stop that. Let's go to our interface creation, new, view. Got it. Selected item. Finding. Selected SQL table field. Save. What's this? Can only be bound. Oh. Selected item. Yeah. Save. Okay. Try again. That one. Table. Alright. So now it's saying mark dirty if loaded. But loaded is false. It hasn't finished yet. So that part's fine. This part is just loading all of them in. Okay, continue. View, we don't have a view. Select all those. Table. Important fields. So we have to fix those. And our selected table. Not dirty. So that's fine. But now we can say last name. This is that one. We're looking at last name. Good. Record tracking, which is this one. Dirty is true, loaded is true. So that should save instantly. And if we check SQLite Studio for last name, first name, those are now both set to 1. So that's is on new record page. So we got a couple more views like that where we're saying, okay, it's either on like the list records page or the detail record page or whatever, but these are still pulling the wrong ones. So if we go to our view model, now our view, interface creation new, and we go to new record page, list records page, yeah, these guys. So we have data grid. Okay, SQL table field. Yeah. Caption. Yeah. Is on list. Is on list page. Then we could say min width 200. Very good. Style centered. Works for me. Make that like 150, I think. It's fine. 200. Well, that was weird. But whatever. So editable grid, we have field, caption, header. If it's on the list page, then we have 2 columns. Okay. But while these are the yes option, this is going to be binding, is on detail record page. Yes. So I strum that guitar every day. Found a passion for music, never went away. I joined a couple bands and played is on detail record page. No. Okay. As you grow up, nobody treats you the same. They try to take your future and make it real safe. You could be a doctor, accountant, or something sane. But yo, whatever happened to the sky was the limit. I fell in love with music, never thought it was a gimmick. I worked so hard on every tune and every single lyric. My whole identity depended on being artistic. Now you want to strip that away. Okay. So you feel okay? Do style. Make it to the top, but does that really say that you shouldn't have given up, that you made the mistake? But if I fail, you feel much better about picking your lane, right? Style. Binding. Just do me, you just do you. I swear it's gonna get better real soon. So let's just do min width 100. Okay, sorry. Copy that. Field name. Okay. Is read only. True. Is read only. False. Okay. Text. No. Okay, so that's data grid text column. Yeah, and whether they're on the list page. So this is more like the data grid. Because there's really 2 fields that we want to worry about here. Okay, one is going to be on list data table. Okay, like that. And the other one is going to be is on list as filter. Okay, and the cell template is gonna do is filter on list page. Yes. is filter on this page? No. Okay. And then we probably need to know like a filter type. Alright, I'll be back again.
One chance to prove it to yourself, so don't lose it. You got this, fam, just keep pushing on through it. One day you'll look back so glad you pursued it. Yeah, things are gonna get better real soon. Yeah, I'ma just do me, you just do you. I swear it's gonna get better real soon. Don't let anyone tell you what you should do. I got a clear view. We're gonna make it soon. Just keep pushing through. You're what you got to lose. You're what you got to lose. You're what you got to lose. Just keep pushing through. 'Cause what you got to lose. 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 I won't give up, I won't back down. Zero line, 6 years underneath the deep ground. I won't give up, I won't back down. Nobody's stopping me except for me now. I won't give up, I won't back down. Zero line, 6 years underneath the deep ground. I won't give up, I won't back down. Nobody's stopping me except for me now. You won't stop me now, because I got this now. I got the formula and I'm about to drop it loud. So what we talking about? There is no talking now. We take action with passion, we're rocking now. It's tick-tocking now, the clock's talking down. And all I hear is haters try so hard to talk me down. But they can't stop the sound, already on the ground. Everything is growing faster than I can count. You ain't gonna stop me now, because I got this now. I got the formula and I'm about to drop it loud. So what we talking about? There is no talking now. We take action with passion, we're rocking now. It's tick-tocking now, the clock's talking down. And all I hear is haters try so hard to talk me down. But they can't stop the sound, already on the ground. Everything is growing faster than I can count. Everything is growing faster than I can count. Every day that I wake up in a nightmare. Every day that I wake up, I can never see quite clear. When I look at my surroundings, and everybody still doubts me, I wanna live to hear a crowd sing all my lyrics so loudly. I miss a time when we would all get together. I guess it's fine, but I really wish that we were better. Real talk, sipping drinks without all the pressure. Now everybody needs to think about posting whatever. When people ask how I'm doing, I've never been better. That's really not a conversation I'm willing to enter. How come we all continue forcing out all of this pressure? I'm just sick of these opinions and all of these lectures.
I need my space now so I can feel nothing. I live this nightmare so I can be something. I do what I love and hope you will love me. I face this nightmare, no I am not running.
I'm scared of being rich, but I'm scared of being poor. I'm scared of being lonely, but I'm scared of being bored. Sometimes I get really angry, and I don't know why. Sometimes I really do hate me, can't even pick my own side. What is even going on? Why the hell do I even write songs? What the hell am I doing here, man? I guess I don't understand a thing, damn. Yeah, but maybe ignorance is bliss. Yo, I'd rather lay in the abyss than be aware of what I missed, especially if I quit. Yeah, they say that hell is your last day, when you see what you could have became. That day would drive me insane, so I intend on staying in my lane. Yeah, I picked a path and I picked the pain. Yeah, I want it bad, that won't ever change. Yeah, sometimes I'm mad, sometimes I'm okay. Yeah, I know I'll have what I want someday.
I need my space now so I can feel nothing. I live this nightmare so I can be something. I do what I love and hope you will love me. I face this nightmare, no I am not running.
It's hard to be okay when everything has changed. Yeah, it's hard to be okay when I can see everything. The best part of everyone's day is on my iPhone on display. No matter what I do, can't get away. This isn't healthy, I don't feel the same. Yo, and destiny is a weird thing. Yeah, cause it's easier to believe. Yeah, that everything is out of your hands. It's part of a plan, so there ain't no need to worry. Don't let your vision be blurry. Yeah, lock into your journey. Yo, and you can start real early. You could be 13 or you could be 30. But it's your life to live, yeah. Yo, so what you got to give, huh? Yo, you better get after it. Don't you dare quit. Don't you dare, kid. You got dreams? Then you're like me. So try like me. So fight like me. Take a hold of your life and thrive like me. So you could put the nightmares to sleep like me. And I just wanna go somewhere where I could just stay inside, where I could just lose my mind, where I could just go unwind. A scotch on the rocks, it slows my thoughts and slows down time. I think I'll be just fine. It's broken by design, yeah. I'm feeling lost, not found. I fell in love with sound, and I don't really think that counts. I'm married to the beat right now. I'm feeling lost, not found. I'm drowning in the bass right now. I listen like a drug I found. Addicted to the plug right now. And I hate the time just keeps on moving. I don't get why it feels like it's looping. I wish that I knew what I was doing, and I hope that I keep my mind so loose. And now I lay awake. Sometimes I never feel like I could take a break. I don't know why this world just wants to make me wait. I don't know why this world just wants to make me hate. Yeah, I'm feeling lost, not found. I fell in love with sound, and I don't really think that counts. I'm married to the beat right now. I'm feeling lost, not found. I'm drowning in the bass right now. I listen like a drug I found. Addicted to the plug right now. And I can feel your pain now. I never got the chance to explain how nothing ever quite feels the same now. I wish that I could just forget your name now. If I stay, will you stay? If I go, will you go? If I pay, will you play? Do you know what I know? Do you love? Do you hate? Do you care what I say? Is it all just the same? Always make these mistakes. Ooh, baby, take me, play me. All I wanna do is please. Wanna spread like a disease. Ooh, crazy, tasty, baby. I just wanna feel you breathe. I just wanna feel your needs, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. Yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. If you wanna stay, baby girl, don't go. Oh, look the other way. Nobody will know. Oh, if it's all the same. Call my place your home. Oh, I don't wanna chase, but don't want you to go. Oh, all I want is you. Ooh, all you need is me. I know what to do. Ooh, only I can see. Yeah, know I love the view. Ooh, climb under the sheets. Do just what you do. Ooh, put me back to sleep. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. mattress next to a You take a fucking bad chick, put her on a mattress. Baby, she's a savage, but she lets me have it. Oh, we getting at it, want a couple glasses. You could be my captive, baby, be proactive. She looking so attractive, dressed with the backlist. We can make it happen, you could be the captain. I'll take you to the cabin, penthouse mansion. And she used to acting, but I ain't casting. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. Yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a She's feeling so lonely, everybody owns me. Treated like a trophy, everybody's phony. She stays so low-key, they don't truly know me. She just wanna show me, take it real slowly. She working long hours, taking long showers, chasing downers over the counter. She cashing in vouchers, screaming out louder. No one around her, surprised I even found her. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. Yeah. Oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different, and you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro, don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a damn if you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon. And I'll do it cause it's what I wanna fucking do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions, they blocking your vision. But no, you can't listen, that shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're trying to make it. There's no way that you make it. Maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Aren't you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Aren't you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Fight back. You ain't gonna make it, you ain't never ever gonna break it. You can never beat them and they're better than you face it. Thinking that they give a damn, you're not, think a straight kid. No, they don't give a damn, you got what I'm saying? I'm not fucking playing, I'll give it to you straight, man. There's too many others and you're not that great, man. Stop what you're saying, stop what you're making. Everybody here knows that you just fake it. Nah, I don't wanna hear it anymore, I don't wanna hear it anymore. All these fucking thoughts, they are not what I need anymore. I'm about to shut the motherfucking door on all you poor ass haters with your heads in the clouds. Talking out loud so proud, you better shut your goddamn mouth. You want too much, speak out, it's about to get sound. You're never gonna make it, there's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Aren't you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Aren't you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Or will you fucking fight back?
Alright, so let's see. I think we had 3 hours, 38 minutes. Wonderful. Long time. Alright, well. Lists, and then we have the detailed record. Nope. Then we could do selected item, binding, selected SQL table field. Yep. Caption is on detail record page. All right, very good. We have the data grid. And then this one isn't going to be a name of a new record page, right? This would be is on detail record page, yes. And then this one can be a slightly different name, like so, like that. And this one is going to be is on detail record page, no, which then that means we can get the toggle name correct, and we can move that over, okay? So that's now detail record page, and we could give these columns a min width of say 100, 50, okay, right? That one in, very good. This is a text caption, and I would probably want to make sure that we had it correct because here, data grid, style, editable data grid, text column, element, style, which is that one. Okay, so now we can go to list records, go to this one. That's the data grid. Can then do selected item, binding, selected SQL table field, data grid column, element style. Yep, good. Text element style, very good. So that's min width of 100. And we could probably just make this min width 150. Min width 150. All right, so that one seems to work. Now then the data grid here, okay, we have the rows, we have the borders, text block, right, new record page, the label, another text block. This is text box now for the creation step type, which we can worry about that later. Okay, so then we have a button. Yep, another button. Very good. Label. Label says destination folder, which we can then put in the style of a input control label, like so. And then we have another text box, which we don't have binding for yet. We have another stack panel with a button and another button, which is in a clear. Okay. And from there, we can go to the data grid. We have our selected item. We have our sample data. This is data grid detail record page. Name, data grid, detail, record page, table fields. Okay. So then we have that one, which we can do an element style for. And we have this one, which we can do an element style for. And then we supposedly have a list of control types, which is supposed to be a combo box, but we need to provide the combo box a list of items and a few other things. So in order to provide that combo box a list of anything, we would need to know control types. So let's go to our SQL Lite Studio here. Control types. We don't seem to have a control types. We also don't seem to have a control types on the SQL Server. Do we have a control types model? We have a creation step type, but we don't have a control type. So when we look at our SQL table here, we have SQL table fields, columns, which is then interface control type. So we have a table called interface control type with 14 columns, things such as interface control type name and control type description. Okay. We probably need control, like naming prefixes or something like that. Why does it say, oh, it's 10. It's just really far away. Okay. Yeah, I guess we're out of music again. So let's grab a different play track. Huh.
So here we have the nitric acid. Now what's left in the plans, aluminium casings, non-fissile uranium, and then burn plutonium and zinc. Okay. So we can start on the non-fissile uranium maybe, and then it's going to be this.
Can bake yourself to a rich golden brown on both sides. Clear up the mystery of whether the light stays on or goes off when you close the door of your refrigerator. We have this model equipped with a window so you can see just what happens to the light when you close the door.
Hey, Adobe Acrobat, can I fill out this form? Yeah, sure. Oh, actually, I can't do anything anymore because there's this new update that I need. I thought I set you to update automatically. Yeah? Okay. Hey, Creative Cloud, can you update Acrobat? Yep, sure. Oh, actually, you need to close out of Acrobat before I can do the update. Okay. Hey, Acrobat, can you close? Yeah, sure. Have a good night. Oh, actually... Task Manager? Yes, boss? This one. Okay, Creative Cloud, can I have the update now? Not until you close out of Acrobat. But I did. I'm not giving you this update until you close out of all instances of Acrobat. Acrobat is nowhere on the taskbar. Close it first, and then we'll talk. Hey, people are wondering if you filled out that form yet. I'm working on it! Task Manager! Nuke it. You're the boss. Hey, Adobe Acrobat, can I fill out this form? Yeah.
Hey, what's your... This is day 3 of asking a professional chef to turn my potato.
I'm 5 minutes in. This hasn't even gotten hard yet.
I don't know how long this Joker's been in here, but no way I'm leaving before him.
Needs headphones in the sauna? Couldn't be me.
This guy has way too much time on his hands. Buzzard just got fired from Chuck E. Cheese or something.
Already meditating? This dude's about to tap out soon.
I think his chain is turning his neck green.
I didn't plan on missing work today. My lungs are on fire. I think I'm starting to hallucinate. I might pass out. Deep breaths. Don't let him see my weakness.
Yo, I'm about to throw up. These Chuck E. Cheese employees are different. Breathe, breathe.
Is this dude serious? Is he really holding what I think he is?
I can't believe this clown actually brought water in this. Don't hand me that.
I'd rather lose than be in here with this bottle-holding bozo.
Wait, technically this means I won, right?
I'm 5 minutes
When picking a new lock, one of the first things you'll want to figure out is how many pins you are working with. For educational purposes, we're going to pretend like we don't have the key, and you can't just look inside and count them. The easiest way to do this is to take one of your tools.
I tried a case against John Doe.
Who's that?
An unnamed person. So my clients were hit by a hit and run driver. They have to sue someone because they want to get their medical bills paid and taken care of, and it's their own insurance company that they're making a claim against. But in Georgia, when you want
All right. Well, I'm gonna put on some Netflix stuff. Mm. Fine. Okay. No, not doing that. Go back to YouTube. What's up with you, pupper? Come on, you're whining a bunch. Hey there. They were